Hey everybody, this is Zygarde here again, and welcome to my first Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon Showdown Battle video. I am kind of unfamiliar with what's going on in the tiers nowadays, so I decided to kick things off and give RU a try. Though my team can pretty much be considered anything but RU in a lot of regards here. I took one really quick look at the viability rankings and was just like, some of this stuff should work. So I'll kind of explain a little bit of it as I go throughout the battle, but let's just jump into it right now. My opponent leads off with Ampharos, as I decided to lead off with Haunter. And I decided to see how well I can take an attack from this thing, because this is actually in a Violite Haunter with quite a lot of special defense EVs. Go for the Sludge Wave in the first turn, actually get the Poison, which I find to be really funny, because the whole point of going a Sludge Wave is because you have the lesser chance of Poison, but the greater power and not being blocked by Bulletproof, which there are two Pokemon that can pack that in RU. But I decided I do not want to die, so I switch on to Togedemaru, which does pretty much not take that hit at all. But I'm able to Spiky Shield or Protect on this turn, get a little bit more toxic damage. And then I just go for the U-turn, know I'm going to outspeed, and then decide to go into my Zygarde here, which actually I predict correctly, because if he went for the Dragon Pulse, this thing would have died, but I had a very strong feeling that he was going to go for Thunderbolt there. So I get to bring this in safely, and I'm able to go for the 1,000 arrows to take out the Ampharos on my opponent's team, but not without taking a good chunk of damage to the few members of my team that have been in so far. But he decides to bring out his Beware, and I decide to go into my Poliwrath right here. This thing is physically defensive. It's kind of designed to deal with a lot of the setup pokes in this gen, or in this tier, excuse me, as well as like Nidoqueen to an extent as well. But I'm able to break this up with the Scald. This is a sub bulk up Beware, which actually proves to be a bit of a nuisance to my team throughout the battle. But I unfortunately go for a second Scald, and this one doesn't get the burn. I actually do not get any Scald burn throughout the entirety of this battle, but that Drain Punch hurt a lot more than I was hoping it was going to. So I'm going to have to go ahead and really have to switch out right here into Haunter, which is going to allow me the chance to at least take the Drain Punch really easily. But my opponent decides to go on to Roserade, which is a perfect switch for me, because I'm able to actually go for Substitute right here, because Haunter will outspeed, and the Sludge Bomb does not break the sub, because as I mentioned before, I'm a Violet with a bunch of special defense EVs. So the second Sludge Bomb also will not break my sub, allowing me to get a free Pain Split and then some really solid damage with Sludge Wave on the following turn, as he goes for the Giga Drain to finally break the sub, and then me predicting the switch out into Bronzong goes for Shadow Ball right here. He decides to go into the better option, which is actually Beware right here, which is going to be immune to that. But had I gotten that Sludge Wave off, I'm really curious as to how different this battle may have shaped up if I actually stuck with the move choice, but I felt like it wasn't the better option. But I go for Sub on Beware, thinking it might not be packing a move to hit this Pokemon, but it turns out he does have the Shadow Claw, and then predicting the second Shadow Claw, decide to go out into Swellow. This Pokemon is really interesting now, because it's usually runs Special, which I haven't actually had the chance to do yet, but knowing that he is definitely not going to stay in, predicting obviously like a Hurricane or Air Slash or something, or even Boom Burst for that matter, because that still does a lot of damage, I decide to U-turn, which allows me to freely go out into Zygarde, which is then going to allow me to then force out his Bronzong, which is going to allow me to get some free damage on this Beware. So a lot of things just happen right there. Unfortunately, the damage that I got on it isn't really that significant, so I'm going to go back into my Poliwrath right here to take the predicted move, but he decides to sub up again, which I was not expecting. But just like before, I obviously pack the Scald to hit his weaker defense, but it turns out that I'm not actually able to break the sub with my Scald, which is something I'm going to look into in future battles, because I don't know how often I'm going to be matched up against this, but Beware seems really good in this tier. But he's able to go for the Drain Punch. Now I finally break the sub with a Scald. I think personally he should have went for another Substitute right here, but he didn't do that. As I'm able to just, break the sub, and he gets a little bit more recovery back, and then I'm just basically trying to burn this thing. And as I mentioned before, though, already, spoiler alert, I don't actually get any burns from Scald in this battle, which really sucks. But he's going to go out into Roserade, and then me thinking the switch into Gengar would be really obvious here, I go into Miltank, because this actually packs the Sap Sipper ability to take the predicted Giga Drain. So I'm able to do that and take the Sludge Bomb decently well, and then KO it with a Body Slam, which is going to at least take out the Roserade, which means that my Poliwrath doesn't really have anything that's really threatening out at this point. But because I have a +1 attack boost and really don't have a super good option against this thing right now, I'm going to go ahead and go for a Body Slam right here, maybe get a Paralysis, but he just subs up again. So I'm going to have to play around this very interestingly. So I decided to go on to Togedemaru right here. This Pokemon in this particular set that I'm using has Iron Barbs with a Rocky Helmet. So basically my plan here is to bring this thing in, have him Drain Punch me, but get 0 recovery from it because of the damage that he's going to take, as you see right here, and then bring in Swellow to, on the following turn, go for Boom Burst, which is going to hit behind the Substitute and hopefully be able to KO the Beware. Now, personally, I felt like my opponent should have known that this was going to happen, but I'm able to get away with it, which I am very fortunate to be able to do. But unfortunately now I'm going to have to just switch out into my Poliwrath, because obviously Bronzong could take the Boom Burst extremely well. But this is basically a free switch for Poliwrath, because Bronzong doesn't typically pack anything to damage Poliwrath. So I'm able to go for another Scald. This actually doesn't do like any damage at all, so I'm kind of thinking that this might be more of a specially defensive Bronzong. He goes for Toxic though, because as I said before, there's really nothing that Bronzong can do against Poliwrath. But I have the Rest and the Sleep Talk, so this isn't really going to be too big of an issue for me, because I'm able to just get rid of the status. And as you see right here, his Earthquake just did like 12%, so that's really not going to be a problem for this Poliwrath at all. So he's going to decide to go out and do his Zygarde right here, which may be possibly getting a free turn, but he's maybe not expecting me to Sleep Talk here. But I get the Circle Throw, which is really nice. Would have loved to have got the Scald and a Burn. That would be obviously the ideal thing, which is why this set is so gosh darn good when you use it. And then he goes into Feraligatr, and I'm thinking, well, one of the things about bringing Poliwrath in this tier is because Feraligatr really can't touch this guy either, and I've been seeing these all over the place in like the battles and research I did prior to making this video and making this team. So he's going to go for Liquidation here, I guess forgetting that I get Water Absorb, but I'm able to just go for the Circle Throw, get rid of the boost that he gets, and Circle Throw him right out into his Zygarde. And now me thinking, okay, well, this is probably good for me. He goes to the Outrage, and that does more damage than I was anticipating it to do, which means that this is obviously a banded Zygarde, which is my best guess. So I decided to go into Haunter right now just to sacrifice it. I obviously don't want to lose Poliwrath because it's basically able to wall the rest of his team. So I'm going to then go ahead and actually bring in my own Zygarde, because mine is actually Scarfed. Which I find to be really, really, really good in this tier right now. But I'm able to just go for the 1,000 Arrows, deal a really good chunk of damage to Bronzong, and am able to actually 2-hit KO it, which is really awesome. And one of the reasons why this move is just so freaking good, I really could not pass up the opportunity to try this out, because everybody loves the dog version of this Pokemon, obviously. But he brings in Feraligatr here, and then just like before, gonna go right back into Poliwrath. He's going to go for another Dragon Dance. I don't see why he's trying to do this, though. And as you're going to see right here, really his best move to hit me is Crunch, which I resist because I'm a fighting type. So I'm able to just Circle Throw him again and get him out of battle, bring the Zygarde back in. And this is basically going to put me in a really good position to where he either has to KO the Poliwrath with 1,000 Arrows, which he's going to do, but in this situation, I can just go ahead and just bring mine in again, or bring in Swellow, knowing that he's banded, because I can just fire off Boom Burst because I'm faster than everything else on his team. So I do that, Feraligatr easily goes down to that, and then all he has left now is his Zygarde, which does have the extreme speed, and it doesn't actually KO, which I was very surprised by. So this is really cool for me, so I actually get to finish the game with Swellow. But either way, even if he didn't, I could have just brought in my own Zygarde and 1,000 Arrows it, because I'd be faster and take it out. So that was the first battle that I've ever done in RU that I'm uploading. I did a couple prior to that with this team just to see how it would fare, and then this battle ended up being pretty cool. So thank you all for watching, everybody, and as always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.